Greeting members and friends. Today we have former president of the ADHD Coaches Organization, Joyce Kubik. Joyce, becoming a coach isn't always a linear path. It's my belief that we need to study the path of our mentors in order to learn from them. What did you do before becoming a coach?
Well, it wasn't a lot of fun, but I worked in corporate offices for a key bank, and I was creating presentations and training new employees on what the company stands for, what the protocol is. I kept databases for 500 employees, and that is a nightmare for a person with ADHD to begin with. But I
Mm,
managed it, and I was never really happy in the offices, but it was what all I felt that I could do at that time.
mm. So, what brought you to coaching? Give us a path.
Well, myself and my three children all have ADD and ADHD in one form or another. I realized that my pain with growing up with ADHD was now their pain. And so I had to help them in some way or some fashion. So I began teaching myself a few strategies, and also time management came in right away because I knew how lousy I was at trying to get one single thing done during the day.
Mm,
I knew nothing about coaches at that time. It was 1998, and there were very few coaches in the country. So I went online and I found Sue Sussman and Nancy Rady's training course that they had just kicked off, and I took that training course, and that kind of gave me a sort of a foundation, sort of a path to follow itself. So it opened my eyes so much more about the outcomes of living with ADHD is that I then started working with my kids, and of
mm.
course that was a big challenge. So then I developed my own business, Bridge to Success, and started helping families and individuals. And it was all uphill at that point. It was the third business I had started also, but this one stuck with me for 22 plus years. So I knew I found my niche.
Congratulations to you on that.
Thank you.
Tell us about a powerful turning point that you had in your profession.
Well, there's two. Joining ACO and becoming a part of the process of being ADHD, having all ADHD coaches together, allowed me to use my leadership skills that I previously had no outlet for. So, working with the board over the years has given me tremendous insight on the needs of coaches and what perhaps I could do for them as a board member. So, the other one was getting the first ADHD coach study published in the Journal of Attention Disorders, something I never thought I would have done, let alone being the first ADHD coach study being done. It was gutsy of me to even think I could do a study.
Mm.
I hated statistics and everything in college, but I always had that inner feeling that I was capable. And so I did, all by myself, because I didn't want anybody else to know that I was doing it. Because what if I failed?
Mm.
That point in my life, that those little insecurities still exist. You know, so
And
those were a couple of turning points in my career.
wonderful. And going back to knowing the needs of coaches, what do you suggest, as advice for coaches who feel stuck and want to walk away from this profession?
Well, they came into coaching because they believed they had the ability to help those with ADHD.
Mm,
So there's help within ACO to get you back on track. Our case collaborations are offered monthly, and they have many great topics that can answer a lot of their questions, and really great speakers also.
mm,
Then there's also our directory of all ACO coaches in the membership link.
mm,
You can go there to that link and find coaches that are in your state. You can try to connect them together so that maybe once every other month you can get online through Zoom and talk about your coaching experiences and getting advice from each other. And there's nothing more powerful than that, than having somebody to connect with. And it's right there in our RECO directory. So many coaches have done that. I know there was one here. I'm in the Columbus, Ohio area. And I know Nancy Rady is here, and there were a couple other coaches way back, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago. And they always got together and talked too.
mm.
And you found that very encouraging and empowering.
I love this. This is a mastermind group. Everyone's in the same position. You have problems that are like the other, and you have solutions to give each other. This also brings camaraderie to our career, our profession.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And you're working with people who are also ADHD coaches, not just
Mm.
any kind of a coach,
So
because
they
we are.
truly understand your needs.
Yes, yes.
That's a
And they
great way to connect.
you learn from them, as you said, and it's a wonderful opportunity that I would even like to see all of our coaches across the country and in the world be able to find connections like that and have little support groups all over the place.
Mm.
That would be wonderful.
Now, your purpose today is also to discuss your role with the ACO. What is your role with the ACO currently?
My current role is past president of ACO, and I served on many, many committees and board positions before becoming president of ACO, and I was president from I think it's 2013 to 2017.
And what brought you to this role?
Well, at that time, our current president had to resign, and we had
Mhm.
an interim president to finish the term while they looked for someone to step up and take the role. I didn't want to see the organization die and nobody else raised their hand. So, of course, I raised my hand because somebody's got to do this, right?
That kind
That's
of defines our job,
yeah,
doing things that somebody's got to do.
that's right. So that's when I volunteered to take on the presidency. And it was a
Mhm.
time when the board needed to focus on policies and financial care. My board was very productive and willing and able to get many of the policies in order during my time. And I'm so grateful to that board for all the hard work that we did.
And one of the most valuable resources you have is as a historian and helping us know how our committee has voted on items as well as what code of ethics look like and how to proceed.
Yes.
Now, today, what's a scenario where an ADCO member would connect with you?
Well, I think about encouragement and accessibility. I love to speak to newly trained coaches and talk to them on the reality of that first year, the challenges of getting clients and keeping them, and being able to understand when to get training and when not to get training.
Hmm,
A lot of them want to become certified coaches, but I'm not suggesting that they become certified until they've had a couple of years of coaching under their belt.
hmm,
This is a very expensive deal that they have to do when they go through the certification and they take some of these courses. That's
hmm,
expensive, and they need to understand that they don't need to just jump right in there and become certified. They become much better certified and professional coaches if they do some coaching first, get some help, talk about those support groups that we talked about before, and being able to find the right time, just to find that time that I'm ready to start my training and become a
hmm,
professional coach.
hmm. I hear that, and that can be a valuable insight itself into people that are joining this profession.
Yes. They really think that they have to do it right away, and they're very confused by that, and they're very concerned. And the
Mhm,
coaches that I have talked to, they are so grateful that I have said that to them because they really felt that they had to spend those thousands of dollars to get the best training and to do it right then and there.
mhm.
And there's no hurry. We do want them to become certified, but do it at the right time when you've got some coaching under your belt.
Okay, nice. Concerning the ACO, what about this program, this organization impresses you?
What impresses me about the ACO? Well, the connection to people who understand how our work can make us a better world. That's what really impresses me about them and how we always share things. And we always want to have things out there for all the fellow coaches. We're not just talking about things that we share within ourselves on the board. What we discuss on board are things that we are going to share with all of our membership. So
Hmm,
being a part of something bigger than me and what I do, that feels good.
that's nice. Now let's shift over to your experience as a coach. How would you present challenging insights to a client?
Well, communications and emotional regulation are very challenging. So I use visuals that are simple and easy to understand.
Hmm.
I'm known for being very practical and keeping things simple and easy to understand. But remember that our minds wander as people are talking to us with ADD. So the reason I use a visual is because I know they're not going to be focused on me. They're going to be looking around and doing different things and everything. I need them to be focused. So visuals keep them focused and tell a story that they can see and personally process. And they understand how the story relates to them. And that's what they want. They want to be able to relate. They need that. I don't know if my clients are visual or verbal processors. So the story I tell uses the four different ways that people talk. So I'm making sure that I'm reaching all of them that way and that they will learn all because I do a lot of group coaching. So
Hmm.
when you're doing groups or even two or three people in the room, you have to have the right words to make them understand what you're saying.
Hmm. And I know that you've been an educator, and educating the clients is part of your coaching method.
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of education, and I think that that's primary to all coaching, that we educate them first. Otherwise, what we try to give them is a skill. There's no background there to say, yeah, because my mind wanders. I remember that picture. I remember
Mhm.
that piece about the anxiety, and I do that. Now I know that the skill you give me, I can control it using that education that I first had.
Mhm. Nice.
Mhm.
As a coach, what was your best coaching hack?
My favorite thing, which is time management. And it
Mhm.
seems to be the enemy of many of us with ADD.
Mhm.
I know it was for me. Without some form of daily planning, clients are seeing themselves, setting themselves up for failure. And people with ADHD are pretty much guaranteed to forget. I even put that on a test in a class I was teaching ADHD students. What are you guaranteed to do? And they had to put the words to forget. All right. So why do we do that to ourselves? We can't, if you write things down and you learn how to discipline yourself and look at that planner every day, you're going to see what's coming up and you're not going to have to make excuses. So
Mm.
they work hard to do this and they begin to see how it controls their day, making time management their friend instead of their enemy. And it's not
Yeah.
easy. It's not easy for them, but they can
No,
do it in their
I
life.
agree.
Mhm.
I agree. The challenge to be humble enough to admit that they forgot something is also one of those steps to recognizing that it's time to relearn something in a different way. And I'm sure you give a comfortable environment for those to learn about that time management.
Oh yes, because when they're forgetting and always making excuses, then making excuses just becomes a norm for them
Hmm.
without any strategy to make a change in that. And the planner changes that because you see it every day. I told somebody I would call them in 2 weeks. We got to put that out there on the planner 2 weeks later. Otherwise, we forget, and it's
And,
not normal or easy for them to do.
and you're describing ownership here,
Ownership.
is setting out a goal in doing it no matter how hard it is by putting it on paper. And that showing our work is one of the hardest things that someone with ADHD does, is
Yes,
using their patience to follow through on something.
we're very visual.
Hmm.
Um, I'll bet there are plenty of clients out there that they have cluttered countertops and everything because they have to see everything.
Hmm.
I remember being like that. And my husband would say, "Why is everything always out on the counter?" Well, I need to remember this. I need to remember that. So eventually I came up with a way using the planner to be
Mm.
able to remember things. And then I could put things away and have counter space. You know, so,
Yeah, nice. And I'm sure a lot of people want to know those systems that you use.
yes,
Maybe for another day.
yes.
I want to thank you today, Joyce, for your time. I know that this will be valuable for both clients with ADHD and coaches alike. Thank you, everybody, for watching. You guys have a great day.
Right. Thank you much, Evan.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.